be honest, the latter. Like it was definitely growing up in Phoenix, Arizona. It was not something, and then doing what I was doing, which was playing football, soccer, it just was never something that I thought was in my playing cards for life. Like I never thought this would be possible. And then, fast forward some time, social media starts to happen for me, and then I start to dabble with the acting. I start to, it's honestly a little delusional and a little ignorant of me to be like, people seem to like me on the small phone, maybe they'll like me on the big screen. And so, but I think all good ideas first have to be a little delusional. And so I think I then really started to respect the craft and to really dive into classes, watch films, and catch up on my classics and everything, and just really become a student to it. And in that process, I just fell in love with it. And then this opportunity came about, and I was ready for it, and overjoyed, and just so excited to pursue it. And so definitely came later in life, but now that I'm here, I want to continue to do it if I can.
I've said it quite a lot, but this movie scared me so much because I'm not like used to doing rom-coms. This was my first at the time, really, and I was terrified because I felt awkward and I felt like I felt nervous, and it's like, thank you so much. You said I was, for anyone who couldn't know that. And I was just nervous, but I learned a lot because I learned a lot about myself throughout it, because it pointed me to things that I'm like, I know the things I loved about Dallas was that she was confident and that she was passionate, and like that was what was driving her, not like, of course everyone has their insecurities, but it wasn't coming from a place of insecurity, like avoiding love with Dallas, what's her name? But again, I was so lucky because it was so fun, and Noah made it easy to feel comfortable, and Justin as well. We just created something that was a joy to film, and I feel like that's what brought it to screen. I learned that I wanted to be a little bit more like Dallas, and then a little bit less like her in some ways too, which was a little bit more free.
Well, it was a challenge, and I have to say that it's been an absolute pleasure and the ultimate dream come true. Every director, whoever wants to be a director, needs to make a feature film, and it really was, I'd say, the culmination of a lot of my experiences. I started in photography, moved from photography to video production, then directing TV commercials, then television, which gave me very good foundational training, and that then of course led to the first movie. And I think that the journey is particularly important because a lot of these skills that I developed were all formative in building from one to the next. And so when it came time to actually making the first film, I had to say that I felt very prepared. And not only that, there had been other offers and movies that come my way, but I really wanted my first feature to have a lot of the themes that I also wanted to express in my first film. It's a coming-of-age timeless story that's about resilience. It's about finding oneself and finding first love. And as a big fan of rom-coms, big fans of romance films, this was the one. So when it came time to accept this position in this film, and then working with these incredible actors as well as the fantastic crew, producers, and other actors in the film, it really was a breeze. We had great time to discuss, rehearse, and find the scenes, find the characters, and I'm just so glad that it achieved the success that it has today. And here we are today, introducing it to the Italian market, and I'm just overjoyed.
Can you tell us something about Drayton and Dallas? So different, but then. Thank you.
This is a great question. I think I mean, there's the classic saying of opposites attract, and I think, yeah, it's okay. Should I go first? But I think what's special about them is that it's young love. It's your first love, and the two of them are both very passionate for different reasons, and that sort of translates into that part of their life. And at least for Dallas, she doesn't know what she wants in that world because it was never in the plan. But she just knows that she can't help but love him. Same with dance, she can't help it. It's like something that's outside of herself. And I think that that's part of the reason why they work so well, is that they are just passionate individuals and very strong in who they are.
I think to echo that, to just, I guess, piggyback off it, as she said, opposites attract, and I think there's another saying where it goes something along the lines of like, you don't choose who you love, and I think that in this case is also very much present in a sense where I don't know if, I do know because I played him, but like Drayton didn't go into his relationship with Dallas thinking that he was going to fall in love with her. He just saw that she was this new, or he had never really recognized her before, and then once he started to get to know her after teasing her quite a bit, realized that there was something there that could be further explored. And I think that's a feeling that we could all kind of relate to in real life as well, and that's kind of the fun part about acting, is that you get to experience these real life emotions like again and again and get to relive them. But I think there's something so special about it, is the fact that Dallas and Drayton are so different, like you say, and but somehow they just click and they work, and you don't really, it's kind of like this untangible thing that you can't explain, but for some reason she like brings out Drayton's like inner kid, and that is like really healing to him, having had his childhood. And so I think there's definitely like a draw there, and yeah, it just makes it special when you just kind of have this thing with someone that you can't even put into words, but they just bring out something in you that no one else can.
Thank you.
Well, I think it's stay true to the characters. In this time, I find that it's a complete privilege and opportunity. I mean, every director always has a dream that your film becomes a success, and for you to have the opportunity to take to the next chapter is really a dream come true. So I'll start with that. But when it comes to this, it really was about learning and listening to what these fantastic actors brought to the role, how it actually translated in the edits. As we know in film, the film is actually written 3 times. You have the script, you have perhaps the book, then the script on set, and then how it comes in the edit room. And there are always these little threads that we've left that we can sort of discover and unpack, and perhaps take that and evolve to the next chapter. So because Tay created such fantastic characters, we had built a fantastic and fabulous film, now we're able to kind of look back at that film and see what are some opportunities there could be. And I remember even when we had the chance to do part 2, I asked the crew members, I asked the producers, the writer, and all the lovely actors, where do you see the characters going? And so with this fact-changing world, I think I just lean into what do we feel should be the next chapter, what are the next challenges the characters should have that inform me on where the characters should go.
Fall in love, I definitely found things in Drayton that kind of similar to what Siena said about her character. Like, there were things that I took from him as Noah, but then also things where I was like, I can work on that as well as Noah. And so there are things that you kind of pick and choose to leave and what to take. And but yeah, I mean, all well said by Justin. I think the same thing when turning a book into a film. There is that stigma around it. It's like, it's hard, and you can't come into it with any. I think the key is coming into it with no expectations of how it performs, but making sure that you come with your best foot forward trying to do the piece justice. And we're all here, like we were all on that set trying to do the same thing, which is create the best movie and bring our own kind of secret sauce to it, to our characters, and have fun doing it. And I think we checked all of those boxes, and I think that's why the movie has done as well as it has, is because we truly just had the best time. And yeah, like if every movie sets like that, I just want to keep doing it as much as I can. And I know that's far from the truth, but at the same time, like I want to chase that, because that was, I mean, and now we're on to the second, and it's crazy, and we filmed the second, and the second time was even more fun. And so we created something really cool here, and I'm just excited to share it to the Italian.
I actually don't factor that at all. I see all performers the same, and I treat all actors the same. I think, if anything, what I like to do is always create an environment where everyone can be free to share, to learn, to listen, to grow. And you will have actors that come from crazy experience. When you have legends like James Van Der Beek in the film, then you also have actors like Siena, who bring so much experience herself. And then I've worked with child actors who have had no experience before. And in my perspective, what I always like to do is understand the person that I'm working with, be friends with them, spend time with them to understand their methodology and approach. And I find that a lot of it was about tapping into the strengths, the weaknesses, and possibilities. So for instance, in this particular case, I always like to kind of imagine people as a blank slate and let Noah tell me his story about his experiences, what's his experience like being a social media star, or experience not being a social media star, and the things in between. And then how do we use those different experiences to help shape the characters that we have on screen? So in terms of translating it to something that's cinematic, I find that it's just making sure that it's authentic and finding ways that they can bring a little bit of that extra spice to the role. One really good example that came up was in some lines of dialogue, actually. In this first film, one key question is, why do you want this so much? And in this particular case, less the social media aspect, more maybe a bit of both, is also asking Noah that one question of like, well, what does football mean to you? What does soccer mean to you? And why do you want to pursue it? When it comes to being number one of a school football team, maybe is there anything you can draw from your social media experience that comes with that too? So I find that, yeah, it's less about the challenge of working with someone with a following or not a following, but finding an opportunity from their personal experience to add to that character and role.